Today, we are diving deep into one of the weirdest, most profound human experiences there is: coincidences.
You know that feeling, right? It's that mind-bending moment. You're just thinking about an old friend, a song you haven't heard in forever, and bam, suddenly it's right there in the real world. A moment so perfect it almost feels impossible. So, is it just random luck? A statistical blip in this chaotic universe we live in? Or is it possible that these moments are actually clues, signs that we're tapping into something much, much bigger than ourselves?
Okay, let's get into it. To try and solve this mystery, we're going to follow the clues. We'll start in the world of psychology with Carl Jung, then take a trip into the super weird realm of quantum physics, and finally, we'll look right inside our own brains to see how we actually build our reality.
So first things first, let's challenge a really basic assumption we all have. We're taught from day one that everything happens because of cause and effect. But what if? What if that's only half the story?
We're going to explore this wild idea that what we just brush off as a coincidence might actually be hard evidence. Evidence that we're living inside a system that is way more interconnected and complex than we ever imagined. And our very first clue comes from the brilliant psychologist Carl Jung. He had this really radical idea. What if some events in our lives are connected not by cause, but by meaning? Jung gave this idea a name: synchronicity. And it's a huge deal. It suggests that your inner world, your thoughts, your dreams, your feelings, can actually line up with the outer world in a really meaningful way, without any physical cause connecting them. And this story, this is the perfect example. Jung had this patient who was totally stuck, trapped by her own rigid, logical mind. One day, she's telling him about a dream she had about being given a golden scarab. And right at that exact moment, a beetle, which happened to be the local version of a scarab, starts tapping on the window. Jung catches it, walks over to her and says, "Here is your scarab." That impossible moment just shattered her rational defenses, and she finally had a breakthrough in her therapy.
So the takeaway here is huge. Jung didn't think this was just a lucky break. No, he argued that meaning itself might just exist out there, in the universe, totally separate from us. And these moments of synchronicity, that's when our own minds just happen to click into alignment with that external meaning.
Now, I know what you're thinking. Jung's idea sounds a little mystical, doesn't it? But here's where it gets absolutely mind-blowing. At the very same time he was developing these ideas, the hard science of quantum physics was discovering something that sounds eerily similar.
Okay, so check this out. In our everyday world, things happen in a chain, right? A causes B. Simple. But when you zoom way down to the quantum level, you get something called entanglement. You can have two particles that are linked, and whatever happens to one of them instantly affects the other one, even if they're on opposite sides of the universe. There's no signal, no travel time, just a connection that isn't based on cause and effect. Sound familiar?
This bizarre quantum fact totally fascinated Wolfgang Pauli, a Nobel Prize-winning physicist. So much so that he teamed up with Jung for decades, and together they came up with this stunning hypothesis. What if mind and matter aren't two different things at all?
They called this underlying unified reality the unus mundus, which means one world. So in this view, a synchronicity isn't some magical bridge between your mind and the world. It's a glimpse of the fact that at the deepest level of reality, they were never separate to begin with.
Okay, so we've gone from the depths of the psyche to the edge of the cosmos. But what if the biggest piece of the puzzle isn't out there, but right here, inside our own heads? Modern neuroscience offers an explanation that is just as mind-bending.
So let me introduce you to the theory of predictive processing. The main idea here is that your brain is not a passive camera just recording what's happening. Not at all. It's a prediction machine. It is constantly actively making its best guess about what's going to happen next, and then it uses your senses just to check if it got it right.
This explains the classic red car phenomenon. You know what I'm talking about. The moment you decide you want to buy a red car, you start seeing them absolutely everywhere. Did a bunch of new red cars just magically appear on the roads? Nope. Your brain simply flagged red car as important, cranked up the attention dial, and basically opened a portal to a reality where red cars are impossible to miss. And here's why that's so important. Your brain hates being surprised. It is always working to make the world as predictable as possible. So when it spots a potential pattern, like thinking of your friend a second before they call, it highlights that connection for you.
This isn't just you noticing a coincidence, it's your brain actively building a more orderly, less random reality for you to live in.
Okay, this all leads to a really critical question. If our brains are hardwired to find patterns all the time, how do we know which ones are real insights and which ones are just illusions? Well, this brings us to a concept called apophenia. It's our built-in tendency to see meaningful patterns in totally random noise, seeing faces in the clouds or hearing messages in static. It's like the pattern matching software in our brains is just working a little too well.
And you know what? There's a really powerful evolutionary reason for this. For our ancient ancestors, missing a real pattern, like the rustle in the grass that actually was a tiger, was, well, a fatal mistake. But seeing a pattern that wasn't there, like mistaking the wind for a tiger, that cost almost nothing. So evolution built us to be hypersensitive pattern seekers. We are literally wired to make the mistake of finding too much meaning. And this right here, this perfectly frames the core debate. Are these powerful coincidences a genuine insight into a connected reality, like Jung believed? Or are they a compelling illusion created by our own brains? A beautiful but ultimately meaningless glitch in our evolutionary software. So, where does all of this leave us? Let's try and bring all these incredible threads together and ask the ultimate question.
We've seen 3 completely different but powerful ways to look at this. Jungian psychology says it's all about meaningful connections. Quantum physics hints that it's a peek into a unified reality. And neuroscience argues it's our own brain, actively building the world we see. What's incredible is that they all, in their own way, point to a reality that's way less simple than just cause and effect.
Which brings us to this final thought. Maybe there's no such thing as a coincidence. Maybe every single one of those moments is a message from the system, a little nudge telling you to pay attention. So what do you think? Are these strange, beautiful moments proof that we are the architects of our own reality? Or are they just clues that we're simply discovering a grand script that has already been written? The answer to that might just be the biggest secret of all.